Okay, so happy Friday morning, everybody. Today is August 2nd. The numbers I'm about to read are for what is the first week of August. This past week counted towards August. August is a 5-week month. A lot of us have some goals, and it is a new month, so be sure you're working on those. But our entire team is pushing very hard for vice president. As we have talked about before, that will bring all kinds of additional resources to the entire team, so which is appropriate because it truly is a team effort. So, guys, let's take advantage of August. So we're going to start off reading the numbers as we always do. First, we have Joe R. with one application for 732. We have Charles C. with 3 applications for 2,412. We have Dawn T. With 1 application for 2,628. Chris H. with 5 applications for 5,312. And myself with 2 applications and 2 annuities for 11,582. Also, I had 2 Relia Shield sales in there. Guys, do remember if you do write annuities, you get to count 10% of the total annuity volume towards your issue paid. So a really light week this week. We have a team total of 22,666. That's 12 applications, so 12 families helped and 5 writers. So the other thing I want to mention before I bring on our guest speaker is that we are very close to entering the 4th quarter. A lot of you are new agents. Some of you have been here for a 4th quarter before. I truly don't understand why or how it works, but I can tell you since October will be my 6-year anniversary, 100% it does. You'll hear 4th quarter magic. You sell more life insurance during the 4th quarter than any other time of the year. So between the fact that we're ramping up to our busiest season and our team goals and your individual goals, I just want to encourage everybody to hammer down, really get laser focused on your goals, get laser focused on helping the people that are requesting our help, filling out that form or clicking on that Facebook post. They're doing it because they don't know where else to turn to. So let's turn up the volume and maximize this thing, not only for August, but for the entire 4th quarter and end this year strong. One last thing, don't forget, if you have not registered for annual conference and reserved a room, do that. Overflow is going to be a real thing, okay? All right, let's get started with today. Okay, everybody, we've got Steve Giordano. I'm not sure if I said that right, Steve, with us. He is part of Mark Mead's organization, the amazing Tri-State Group. And, Steve, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you find Family First Life, and how did you get going?
Well, good afternoon, Paige. Thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor. I've listened to a lot of the calls that you guys do, and they're great. I'm actually a warm market friend of Mark Mead, known Mark since probably about 2008. So we go way back. We were both in the restaurant industry. So we kind of just always remained friends, and we're big Miami Dolphin fans, so we always had that bond.
All right. I did not know that about the two of you. That's pretty awesome. Okay, great. And so, Steve, I'm assuming that warm market, did he reach out to you, or were you seeing the post that he put out? What drew you to find out what Mark was doing?
We had always kept in contact, and it probably was about 2 years ago. We were texting on a Sunday about football, and he was telling me what he was doing. And I had always had an interest in insurance, probably going back about 2014 or so. I had a few people that I knew that did it, and my mind was not in a place to even kind of understand what it entailed to do. And then just in talking to him and then kind of seeing what he was doing, watched a lot of his YouTube videos, I was like, wow, like this looks pretty impressive. But I still wasn't sold. I had to really kind of do my research first.
Okay, that makes sense. And it's my understanding that you did get started around the beginning of December of 2018. Is that right?
Yeah, it was kind of the weekend after Thanksgiving. I started part-time and ran basically kind of on Saturdays in January and the beginning of February, and I do a couple of weeknight appointments to kind of just get things going from there.
Okay, and what were you doing while you were doing this part-time?
So my whole career I worked in the restaurant industry, so I was actually working as a food nutrition director at a hospital down here in Florida. But really my whole career was just managing restaurants, running multiple restaurants. That was kind of all that I knew basically ever since I'm 15.
Oh, okay. All right, awesome. All right, so we're talking February, and you went to annual conference. I remember seeing you there. What was your impression after attending that event?
You know, the craziest thing about that conference for me, the biggest thing was how engaged everybody was and how positive everybody was. I've been to so many conferences, you know, in the restaurant industry, and you get complainers all day long. And the biggest thing was nobody complained. And if you remember, when we were all kind of on the first day in that line to get in, and the line was crazy, and we were on it for however long, not one person complained. It was like they were just lining up to kind of find the money that was there and the information, and everybody was in such great spirits and so positive.
You know, that's true. I know in hearing the corporate office after, they always kind of go through what worked, what didn't, what can we do better, what do we need to change. They weren't happy with the registration process, and I felt like I didn't have any issues. You know, I thought it went smooth. There was just a ton of people, and more people than they were expecting. And you're right, I don't remember hearing anybody complain waiting in line, other than like, wow, this line is long, but it was more of an amazement and not a complaint, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So what happened after conference? I think that's when the magic really started, so to speak, for you. Is that right?
Yeah, I think, you know, everything that I took away from convention and really having that picture painted for me, you know, that, listening to so many trainings and podcasts kind of going into it, I started to believe. I had the belief, and then I just said to myself, all right, this is a matter of you just making the decision that you're going to win, you're not going to lose, and whatever you have to do to win is what you're going to do. So I think once that decision was made for myself, it was just a matter of putting in the work behind that and following the vehicle, and then the success was going to come.
Gotcha. All right, so when did you go full-time?
It was literally that Monday, right after convention. You know, I kind of got a lead strategy together, talked to a lot of people. You know, I had some leads, you know, obviously doing it part-time, but I just said to myself, all right, well, this is what I'm going to spend. I'm going to invest. I'm going to, you know, diversify. I'm going to add more knowledge each and every day and talk to a lot of people and just kind of go after it. And I think I'm the type of personality that I like to do it. I think you need to just do it. And when you do it, you're going to just get better at it.
Yep, absolutely. And that fits right in perfect with pretty much the blueprint that Family First Life has created to help agents get off to a fast income-producing start. You know, I think that you have to have some faith because, you know, your manager is asking you to go into a house when you don't have any idea about these companies or these products, right? But they're saying, go in, fill out this worksheet, and call me, and then I'm going to direct you, right? Is that what you do? Are you direct to Mark?
Yeah, I'm direct to Mark, and he has a great hotline. And, I mean, you know, to this day, I don't know everything about underwriting, and there's a lot to it. I call him. Certainly, you know, as you do it a little bit, you get a little better, and I call him a little less. but certainly, like I called yesterday because I had a question about something.
Yep.
I want to, you get one shot in a home. I want to make sure I do the right thing by the client, and I'm going to make sure that we're going the right spot.
I love it. It's a testimony. Yeah, we have our hotline too. If you can't get your manager, then we call the hotline. And Dom has his top producers there available for everybody. And, the system works. You have to have faith, you have to have the right attitude, and you have to have the right activity. So tell us a little bit about your attitude with all – well, let's back up. I want to get to the juicy stuff for everybody listening. Let's talk about your production. So you came back after convention and you went full-time. About how much did you issue pay in February?
I did $9,000 in February. So
okay, and then we got
month.
March.
March I did a little over 21.
Okay, and then April?
34.
Okay, and May?
52.
That was our wonderful 5-week month. And how about in June?
43.
Okay, awesome. So basically in February, we're talking about in a 5-month period, Steve, still new, still calling the hotline, you have actually worked your way all the way up the level guide to a diamond level producer at $40,000 a month, if she paid a month, right? And above.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't have they don't have a level for 50. They're going to have to create some new levels.
You're right.
People like you are breaking the mold, and it's an awesome problem for corporate office to have. I'm sure they are not complaining. So I absolutely love that. All right, so I wanted to talk about that. So basically, let you turn it loose, and if you'll talk to us a little bit about your mindset and your personal and business development, what you're doing to learn and grow and keep yourself right, what you're doing for leads, and how many appointments you're running and things like that. Just kind of give us a breakdown about how you have progressed so quickly just by following the blueprint that Family First Life has.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to share. So I'd say, number one, I think you need to look at this and say that you're going to be insanely disciplined and you're going to be the hardest boss that you've ever had to work for, because we've all worked different jobs, corporate America, different things where you have a boss who has expectations. There are deadlines. There are things that need to be done, and we've all had like that pressure and stress. So now you need to put that pressure on yourself every day, and you can't fall into the trap of, I am my own boss, I am my own employee, I can kind of come and go as I please. You have to put the pressure on yourself. So that starts with, number one, the schedule. So for me, I wake up at 4 a.m. It is not easy, but, nothing worth, getting in life is ever going to be easy. So by getting up at 4, I'm able to just get a lot more done. So I have gratitude in the morning. I'm reading devotionals. I'm then hitting the gym. And I think when you get your body going, now your mind starts going. So as I'm at the gym, I'm thinking as what my day is going to look like. And then it's a matter of getting back from the gym by, roughly around 7 to where I know that I'm dialing by 8 a.m. And some days I even, hit it a few minutes earlier. And I'm not stopping until I get where I need to go. So that means I'm feverishly dialing until I get 15, 16 appointments in the next 2-day span. I'll even backtrack from the lead perspective. You got to make sure you're putting in your lead order in good time, so when you sit down, you have the people to dial. Certainly we go back and we dial some stuff from the previous weeks, and some of it will blend in, but you have to have fresh leads. Your leads, I worked in a restaurant. Leads are like food. If you don't have it, you don't have a business. So you cannot be confused about the fact that you need to invest in yourself and buy leads. And in the beginning, I'd say to myself, I don't know how much I can spend and this and that. But then I just started saying, the more I spend, the more I make. So why wouldn't I just continue to spend? And then you just start rolling that money consistently. And then you don't even feel it anymore when you have to buy leads. So, that structure piece of having the leads, running the schedule and having discipline to yourself, I think, is going to give you consistent results. On a run day, I'm running, 8 appointments. It's packing, for me, a lot of food. I'm a big guy, I eat a lot. Not having a lot of sugar. Not, stopping to go to, Panera or wherever. I have everything right there, so I can go and I can just hit each appointment one after the other. And I find that I'm able to do, I've been doing roughly 26 to 30, 31 appointments a week on a consistent basis. And then, lo and behold, consistent results. I think people get themselves into trouble because they make excuses as to why they can't run a consistent schedule. And to me, if there's anything that's going to get in the way of my schedule, I just push it out of the way. And I say I'm going to figure it out later. Or I adjust. Say I need to do something during the week. All right, now I'm going to go run on Sunday. Or I'm going to run a couple appointments another day. But it's that consistency is just going to breed results. From a lead perspective, I try to be diverse in it. I really enjoyed learning about mortgage protection when I first started. So I really just studied a lot and learned as much as I could. So basically my lead flow, I usually get about 30 Facebook final expense, usually social insurance, or here and there I'll try different vendors just to try out different things. I have a fresh mortgage drop, and I have it in 2 different counties down here in South Florida, so Dade and Broward County. Those have been tremendous. I have a tremendously high fit ratio with them, so they're great. Then I'll buy, some second chance mortgage here and there when I see them in the CRM because they're pretty cheap. I have an EverQuote account that I loaded up right after convention, and I turn that on just on my dial times. So, 8 a.m. to whenever I'm done, then I'll, turn it off. So I'm sitting down now with 30 final expense. It's usually about 10 new mortgage. I'm probably getting about 8 a day on the EverQuote, and then I'll sprinkle in here and there, like the John Hancocks. I've tried a lot of other different things, secure agent mortgage. I hear about something, I try it. What do you got to lose? So I think not being afraid to try different things is going to go a long way as well. So I think those are the things from a structure perspective. When you're looking at in-home perspective, I think the biggest thing is – actually, let me go back to phone. So taking control on the phone, taking control in the home. When you're making dials, you have got to grab that person over the phone with your words to the point where they understand, they fill this out, you're getting back to them. This is what the process looks like. This is what we're going to do next. When you are really just communicating that at a high level over the phone, there is no confusion. They know you're coming over. You're tying it down. You're letting them know, asking questions, hey, do you live in an apartment? Do you live in a gated community? I have a lot of gated communities, and I might have jumped over a couple of gates in my time. But you got to do sometimes. So just really tying down so they understand that you're coming over. And then when you go to the in-home, I think, again, it's just a matter of letting them know why you're there, what we're there to do, and just putting blinders on to any objection. People get afraid. This is uncomfortable. Nobody likes talking about death. Nobody likes talking about finance. So if you can put them at a little bit of ease, show some professionalism and some knowledge, show some compassion, and let them know that you're there to help them, you're going to succeed. I think if you're timid when you're in home, you're going to have problems because I think particularly the senior market is going to try and, see what they can kind of get away with you. But if you kind of let them know, this is what we're doing and why we're doing it. The other big thing for me on in-home is I try and take whatever the product is that we're looking for somebody and make it very three-dimensional as opposed to black and white. It's very black and white to go on a final expense appointment, and you're talking about a $10,000 burial that's going to pay for your burial. That's black and white. A lot of people are just looking for that. But when you start talking about, I'm with a husband and wife, and we're talking about loss of Social Security when one of the spouses pass, now you're talking where you're educating, you're consulting, and you're giving knowledge that they might not have known. And now you can take, hey, we need $10,000 of burial, to hey, we need $30,000 because we need to cover 2 years of Social Security that we're going to lose. Same thing, on your mortgage protection appointments. You're there to, cover as much of that mortgage as possible. But when you start talking about covering time, when you're dealing with older clientele that might not get a term, when you're talking about protecting the value of their home, when you're talking about cash back on a 25-year that's going to pay their loan off early, all of those things just bring you credibility, and it makes that sale that much more three-dimensional and that much more real, where they want to just jump at it and do it because, that makes a lot of sense. Because now they're thinking things that they weren't thinking about when they first filled this out. And now you're their guy because you're showing knowledge. Then talking about smart money, finding annuities, getting statements, really showing that you're a jack of all trades and you have a lot of knowledge. Now you start getting some annuities going, booking second appointments from that, talking about identity theft. Probably one of the biggest things for me and having a little bit of success with Reliance Shield is flat out just saying, on Social Security, if you get $1,000 a month and they breach your Social Security number and you now get zero income, how would you survive? And then lo and behold, everybody wants to sign up for Reliance Shield. So I think those things and that knowledge go a long way. And the knowledge is gained by the podcasts, the trainings, the videos, calls like this. That's where you find it all. I didn't magically come up with this. I've never been in insurance in my life. So I think you need to, in your discipline of your structure of your day and your week, you need to say, I'm going to listen to 15 hours of training a week consistently, every single week without fail, because I need to get better. I think people get themselves in trouble because they don't do that, and then they don't get better because they're not investing in their knowledge. So that's kind of, for me, I know it's a little long-winded, a lot of where I'm at from a success perspective.
That was not long-winded, and that was really good information. So let's start with what you ended with, that training. I think that's key. I've been doing this longer, and there are times when, I'm driving on the road, a couple hours, and I just am like, I don't want to listen to training, and I start listening to music, or I call somebody I haven't talked to in a while. And not that you can't do that, but you should. If I'm not putting enough in, I'm not getting enough out, no matter where I am in the process, right? This is an ever-evolving business. We are the rogue IMO because we do things different. We change things up. Things change on a dime. People come up with great ideas, and then they start training on it, which can, transform your business that's already doing well. But you're not going to know any of it if you're not plugging into the training. So I think that's a really key part. And especially when you're new, you always need it no matter where you are. But when you're new, it's critical. It is your lifeline. If you want to get through those first 100 training appointments, as people like to call them, it's very important to listen to the training and to call when you're in the home, call the hotline. Or and Steve, when you don't sell an appointment, do you check in with somebody and kind of go over it? And do you do that, or did you do that at any point?
Yeah, I call Mark a lot. I call, some other great mentors. And the other awesome thing of the company, we all know this, is everybody's willing to talk to you and help you. It doesn't matter what team you're on. So I'll call, Greg Birch down in Texas, Rob Richmond down in Texas, just guys who are really just killing it. And I say, hey, I just ran into this. What would you have done? They tell me one thing, and I'm like, I wish I would have thought of that. But for next time, I will.
Yeah, and that's a great way to get better, right? To rehash those appointments and learn, and it's not to say that you're going to close every appointment, but you certainly, the more you learn, the more ammunition you have in your arsenal to go in there and try to overcome what can be very petty excuses for them not to protect their family, right?
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Yep. And I like the leads. Let me be sure I got this right. So you're getting about 30 of the Facebook final expense. You're getting about 10 from your mortgage drops weekly, right? You're supplementing. Yep. You get EverQuote kind of is fill in about 8. And then you're sprinkling in Second Chance and John Hancock leads and anything else. About how many leads a week would you say you like to have fresh for dialing to get the 26 to 31 appointments you're aiming for?
Probably say about 55 around there, 45 to 55. I'm a very persistent type of person, so I'm definitely going back to a lot of stuff for sure. Just because I think there's something in my brain where I'm like, I want to make sure that I resolve this no matter what, like at all costs. I'll take the no, but at least I know I resolved it. Right.
Right, and I feel that way too because, I think it's important for us to not look at that lead as a piece of paper, a lead that we paid for. I think it's important that we look at that as a person who has a desire to protect somebody else. And if we don't try to resolve every lead, we are letting them down. When I get frustrated, I have to stop and remember, okay, these are actually people. And some of them are surprised because whenever they clicked on whatever or filled out whatever, they thought they'd get an email back. They're surprised they got a live human being calling them, So I try to keep that in perspective. But no matter what happens, they still had a need and they wanted help with it when they did it. So Steve, what are your goals going forward? Well, let me ask one other question. You and I met at the Rising Stars in New Jersey, which was an incredible event. Was that the first? I'm assuming that was the first one you've been to because you are so new with Family First Life.
Yeah, that was the first Rising Star. Yep.
Yep. And you've been to the quarterly sales conferences and things like that. We've had a couple since convention.
Yeah, I did one. We had one down here in Boca in, I think it was March or April, and then we got another one coming up in August.
Okay, great. So, and of course, annual convention. Is there any doubt that you're going back next year?
Oh, I already booked my room. And my wife's coming this time.
They keep talking about that overflow room. I booked mine too. They've got us all nervous with that overflow room. I do not want to be in there. So I'm glad.
I'm going to have my ticket printed with the date if they say anything about having to go in the overflow room.
Yep, you're going to be like, nope, here I am. I love it. So what are your goals moving forward? Where would you like to be at the end of the year? Oh, love it.
I'd really like to be at VP. I'm running ads on Career Builder. I need to get an admin to really kind of just keep up with stuff and, keep myself organized. So I'm working on that. So I have an ad for an admin. I'm getting different agent ads in different areas of Florida. I'm trying to look outside of the state. I have some writing agents. I don't have enough right now. I feel like kind of everybody's like ready, but they're just trying to get them that push and kind of figure out a lead strategy and kind of go through stuff with them. But I really try on my days running to just touch base with as many people and talk to as many people as possible to really get them going.
Right. Well, I love it. And, Steve, just based on your fast start and your activity, I have no doubt that you can hit VP if you keep going the way you're going. There's no doubt in my mind. And I do want to thank you for taking your time. I know we're all busy, and I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to help our team out and to share what you've done and the knowledge you've learned, and really, really do appreciate that.
Thank you, Paige. It's been an honor.
All right, guys, go out and make it a great week. Thanks, everybody.